Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we are stepping onto a very unusual fairway. We're diving into T-Legion TCG. Now, this is a collectible trading card game that honestly sounds a bit wild on paper. It takes golf fundamentals, grip, stance, tempo, knowing your yardages.
Yeah, the real core stuff.
Exactly. And it maps all that onto this high fantasy duel. We're talking knights, dragons, relics. It's quite the mix.
It really is, but the genius is how well it works. It uses that golf structure, that discipline, to frame the fantasy combat. It's not just random dice roll.
Right, it feels structured. Like every turn is setting up a shot, dealing with the lie.
Precisely. You're aligning your shot, choosing your club, which is your dragon's yardage, right?
Right.
Making the roll, and then you're living with the consequences, hazards and all.
It forces a kind of strategic thinking you don't always see. So our mission today is pretty specific. We're not just looking at any cards.
No, we're aiming for the top.
We are going straight for the Charizards of T-Legion, the absolute peak collectibles. We're focusing on the Aethermane Dragons.
The Cosmic Weave Dragons, yeah.
Yeah.
These are the legendary chase cards, the ones everyone is after.
And we need to figure out why. What makes them so special? What's their deal mechanically, thematically?
And you really can't understand the Aethermanes without understanding the whole game world they sit on top of. They're like the fifth element, the synthesis.
So we'll need to cover the basics first, the core rules.
Absolutely. We have to look at how the golf logic, the yardage alignment, the hazard penalties, meshes with the fantasy stuff. The Knights commanding dragons from the teeing ground, the battles in the land zone. Only then do the Aethermanes make sense.
Okay, so before we get to the big, shiny cosmic dragons, we need to lay the groundwork, fundamentals. And that starts with the player themselves, or rather, their avatar, the knight.
Right. The knight is your permanent presence on the board. They hang back in the teeing ground. Think of it like your command center, back center of the play area.
So they aren't mixing it up in the front lines.
Generally, no. They're the commander. They can't usually be targeted or destroyed directly, but they are absolutely central to winning or losing.
How so? What's the key stat there?
It all comes down to GP, or game points. This is a really neat design choice, because the Knight's GP is both your score in the match and your health total.
Ah, okay. So if your GP hits 0...
You're cut.
Yeah.
Game over.
Yeah.
You lose the match. So protecting your Knight's GP is paramount.
And then for the actual combat, the dragons have their own stats.
Yeah, the two big ones are HD, which is hit damage, that's the offensive punch when a dragon strikes, and DG, Dragon Guard, which is their defensive value, basically soaking up incoming HD.
HD for offense, DG for defense. Got it. And we mentioned yardage.
And YDS, yardage, crucial for placement and legality, as we'll see. It dictates where dragons can even be.
So the knight has GP, the dragons have HD and DG, and everyone cares about YDS. But what does the knight actually do each turn? If they're commanding, what does that look like?
It's very focused. Their main job is command. Once per turn, during your command step, the knight gives one order to one ready dragon.
Just one.
Just one action. It could be strike, defend, or maybe activate some kind of passive ability the dragon has.
That seems restrictive, especially if things go wrong.
It enforces tempo, like setting up just one golf shot per turn. You can't just spam actions everywhere. It forces you to prioritize.
So wait, if I have, say, 3 dragons stuck in the rough hazard zone, I can only command one of them to try and get out per turn.
That's exactly right. It makes avoiding hazards really important in the first place because recovery is slow and deliberate. You have to choose. Do I rescue this dragon or do I command another dragon to strike?
That definitely highlights the golf tempo idea. And the knight only attacks personally if?
Only as a last resort.
Yeah.
If your entire land zone, the front line, is completely empty, no dragons at all, then the knight can make a strike. Yeah. But the focus is always on the dragons as your primary hitters and defenders.
Okay, so the lance zone is where the action is. Tell me about that. You said it's like a golf bag.
It really is the most elegant bit of design here. The lance zone is this frontline area with 8 specific slots. And which slot a dragon can go into is dictated entirely by its printed YDS stat.
YDS-driven legality. Okay.
Yeah. It's not just flavor text, it's a hard rule. A dragon with, say, 30 YDS printed on it can only go into the putter slot, which covers 050 YDS.
Can you give a few more examples of those bands?
Sure. So the putter slot, P, is 050 YDS, perfect for short game. For precision dragons like Tidewings. Then you might have a 7 iron slot, 7i, which requires a YDS between 180 and 200. That's mid-range, controlled shots, often stonebacks.
And the big hitters?
They go in the driver slot, D or sometimes 1W for 1 WID. That requires 280 plus YDS. That's where your powerful flame wings live, the ones built for pure distance and aggression.
You literally can't put the wrong club in the wrong spot.
Nope. Can't use a driver on the putting green. Can't use a putter for a 300-yard drive. The YDS bands enforce that strategic alignment.
But cards can change stats, right? What if I play a relic or something that boosts my 7 Iron Dragons YDS from, say, 190 up to 210? Now it's too long for the 180-200 YDS slot it's sitting in. Does it just explode?
No, nothing quite that dramatic, but it does matter. The rule is, if a dragon's YDS changes and falls outside the numerical band of its current slot, it stays put physically. It doesn't move.
Okay.
But it's now considered improperly clubbed. And while it's improperly clubbed, it cannot make a strike action.
Ah, so it's stuck there, defensively maybe, but offensively useless until its YDS comes back into range.
Exactly. It emphasizes tactical discipline. Maybe you used a high-risk gear relic for a temporary YDS boost, or maybe your opponent hit you with a tiding ability to shrank your YDS. Either way, you have to manage those fluctuations or lose your offensive capability from that slot.
That's a really interesting way to handle buffs and debuffs. It links directly to positioning. Now let's talk consequences, the bad shots, the hazard zone.
Right, this is where things go wrong. The main way dragons end up here is through the strike roll. We'll probably get into the details of that later, but basically, if you roll poorly on your attack, typically a 4, 5, or 6 on a 6-sided die, your dragon can get tagged with a hazard.
Like finding the bunker.
Exactly. A roll of 4 might tag it with bunker, a 5 could mean rough, a 6 often results in a water hazard tag. And these aren't just flavor, they come with real penalties.
And the game standardizes how you get out. You mentioned a table.
Yes, the Universal Hazard Retrieval Cost Table. This is key. Individual cards don't have complex get-out-of-jail-free text. They all refer back to this table, which defines the cost based on severity.
Okay, break that down for us.
Sure. Usually works like this. For minor hazards like the bunker, retrieval typically requires discarding a card, a non-relic card from your hand. You lose a future resource.
Okay. Medium.
Medium hazards, like the rough, usually cost you GP. Maybe 10 GP directly from your knight. You're paying of your health, your score, to get back in the game.
And the worst, water.
Severe hazards, like water, often require you to skip your knight's entire next command phase. You just lose a turn's worth of action economy to pull that dragon back. It's a massive tempo hit.
Wow, okay. That really makes me want to avoid those bad rolls. But there's one worse outcome, isn't there? OB.
Out of bounds, yes. OB is the ultimate penalty. If a dragon somehow lands out of bounds, maybe through a catastrophic roll outcome combined with a risky relic play, that card is gone.
Gone.
Gone. Irretrievable for the rest of the match. It doesn't go to a discard pile you can fish things out of. It's the true graveyard of the game.
Man. So you can get dragons back from bunker, rough, or water, usually using special relic cards.
Right. Relics are often needed for the retrieval attempt itself.
But you always pay the cost from the universal table. And there's another catch, right?
Yes. When a dragon is retrieved from any of those hazards, it comes back to the land zone exhausted. It can't strike the turn it returns, so even a successful retrieval costs you immediate offensive pressure. You have to wait a turn.
Okay. Here's where it gets really interesting, you said. We've got the knight, the land zone, the yardage rules, the brutal hazards. Now, to understand the Aethermanes, we need context. We need the other dragon.
Exactly. The Aethermanes exist above the standard ecosystem. To see why they're legendary, you need to know the regulars. We're talking about the 4 core elemental clans.
Fire, earth, lightning, water, presumably.
You got it. And each one is cleverly tied into the game's mechanics. They aren't just different colors. Each clan is associated with forging a specific type of club. They tend to focus on certain stats like HD or DG. And crucially, each links to a part of the golf swing.
A swing zone link. Okay, that's cool. Let's start with fire. Sounds aggressive.
That's the Flame Wings. Red and orange dragons. Pure aggression. They are the forgers of drivers, maximum distance, maximum power. Their philosophy is basically hit it hard.
Makes sense. And their swing zone link.
Stance. The very beginning, the setup for power. Mechanically, this translates into high HD, maybe effects that cause ongoing burn damage like ticking GP loss on the opponent's knight each turn.
So, high risk, high reward.
Definitely. A typical Flamewing might get a big HD bonus when striking, but if they roll poorly, maybe a 4 for a hook, they might damage themselves or take a penalty stroke, lose some GP. They're built to end games fast, one way or another. all acids.
Okay, polar opposite then. Earth.
That would be the Stonebacks. Brown and gray colors. They forge irons, the reliable mid-range clubs for controlled shots. Their philosophy is about patience and precision.
And their swing zone.
The grip. Control, stability, grounding. So their playstyle is defensive. High DG is their focus. They're built for attrition, enduring hits.
Like tanks.
Pretty much. They might have abilities like bunker immunity, letting them ignore the penalties of being in a bunker hazard. Or maybe they gain DG the longer they stay on the board, becoming harder and harder to remove. They anchor your lance zone.
All right, next up, lightning. Sounds unpredictable.
That's the storm scales. Yellow and electric green. They forge hybrids, those versatile clubs that bridge gaps. Their philosophy. Adaptation is victory.
Makes sense for hybrids. Swing zone.
The takeaway. That complex, dynamic part of the swing between the setup and the impact. It sets the stage for their gameplay. Fast, combo-driven, sometimes chaotic.
How does that look in game?
Lots of chain reactions or conditional effects. A storm scale might have an ability like a lightning arc. If its strike reduces the target's DG by a specific amount, maybe it bounces a small effect like a little HD boost or YDS tweak to a friendly dragon next to it. High variance, lots of triggers. For players who like intricate plays.
Okay, one left. Water ice.
The Tidewings, blue and teal. They forge putters naturally. Precision, short game control, their philosophy. The quiet stroke is the truest strike.
Impact.
Exactly. Their swing zone link is impact, that moment of critical, precise contact. So they are the control specialists. Tempo manipulation, managing flow.
How do they control things?
They mess with hazards a lot. Maybe shifting a rough tag from their side to an opponent's dragon. Or using freeze effects, forcing an opponent's dragon to skip its next action. A classic tiding trick might be something like Tide Pull, letting you mess with the opponent's next relic draw, disrupting their setup. Subtle, but very effective.
So you've got fire for raw power with drivers, earth for defense with irons, lightning for combos with hybrids, and water for control with putters. That covers a lot of strategic ground.
It really does. And this whole system, these 4 pillars, they establish the core meta. They set the stage perfectly for something else, something that transcends them.
The necessary 5th faction.
The required apex collectible, the
Yeah.
Aethermanes. They have to interact with or master these elements to justify their legendary status.
All right, let's get to the main event, the Aethermanes. We know they're legendary, the ultimate chase cards. But what are they, fundamentally?
They are the Weave Dragons. Think cosmic, ethereal energy, not raw elements. The game explicitly calls them out as the Legends players are hunting for. Their whole philosophy is different. To swing in harmony is to shape destiny.
Harmony, okay, sounds lofty. How did that look? Visually, they must stand out, right?
Oh, absolutely. The art is stunning and designed to look completely distinct. We're talking nebula-like manes, wings that look almost translucent, maybe trails of shimmering weave energy floating behind them.
Colors, not just red or blue, I assume.
Definitely not. Their color palette is much more arcane. Think arcane purple, maybe cosmic silver, touches of ethereal violet, colors that scream otherworldly compared to the primary elemental tones. It clearly sets them apart.
And their mechanics have to reflect that harmony idea. What about their clubs? What do they forge?
That's key. They don't forge standard elemental clubs. They create rare clubs infused with pure weave force. These are unique items. And their swing zone link isn't stance or impact.
It's the last part.
It's the follow-through. That final arc of the swing, the part that determines the shot's ultimate path and outcome. It represents synthesis, completion, destiny.
Okay, swing in harmony, follow through, weaving. This sounds like they're all about synergy, pulling different things together.
Exactly. That's their core gameplay identity. They are profoundly synergy-driven.
Yeah.
Their abilities often require specific conditions across multiple zones to work.
Like what?
Like, an Aethermane ability might need you to have a knight with high GP, a stoneback defending in one slot, and maybe a specific type of relic active, and maybe even an opponent's dragon currently tagged with a hazard. They weave the state of the night, the lance zone, the relics, and even the hazards together for big payoffs.
High risk, high reward, you said.
Definitely. They're often win condition dragons.
Yeah.
They might start slow, needing setup, but they often have awakening mechanics. They scale up, unlocking truly game-ending effects once you meet their complex conditions, like, say, having 3 different elemental dragons ready to strike simultaneously.
Okay, you mentioned core abilities like copy abilities and synchron strikes. How does a synchron strike work if the knight only gets 1 command per turn? That seems like a direct contradiction.
Ah, that's where they bend the rules. A synchron strike might use the knight's single command to target the Aethermane, yes. But the Aethermane's ability itself then triggers off the existing board state.
For example.
Okay, imagine an Aethermane ability that says, if you control a ready stoneback dragon in an iron slot and a flaming dragon dealt HD last turn, when this dragon strikes, you may also resolve the strike ability of that stoneback dragon, targeting the same opponent.
Whoa. So the Aethermane's single strike effectively becomes 2 actions by copying or triggering another dragon.
Precisely. It uses the Aethermane as a conductor. It leverages the harmony you've already built on the board to break the usual 1 action per turn limit. That's a copy ability enabling a synchronous strike.
Yeah.
It's incredibly powerful tempo.
That is game-breaking potential. And what about hazards? We talked about how brutal they are. You mentioned Aethermanes are hazard bending and have a spectral presence. Do they just ignore hazards?
Not necessarily ignore, but interact differently. They might use hazards. Their spectral nature could mean they bypass some of the normal retrieval costs or rules.
Like how?
Okay, maybe an Aethermane has an ability like Woven Fault Line. If an ally dragon gets tagged with, say, a rough hazard, instead of paying the GP cost to retrieve it, the Aethermane could maybe consume that hazard tag as a resource.
Consume it?
To do what? To fuel something else. Maybe consuming the rough tag lets the Aethermane instantly ready another exhausted dragon, or gives itself a huge temporary YDS boost for a critical shot. They turn the course's imperfections into power. They manipulate the rules of a hazard zone rather than just suffering from them.
So playing Aethermanes means you almost have to be comfortable with things going slightly wrong, because they can twist those faults to their advantage.
Exactly. They reward players who can manage chaos and see opportunities where others only see penalties. They demand mastery of the entire game state.
So pulling it all together, Aethermanes are the ultimate test. They need you to understand offense, defense, tempo control, the relic system, and hazard management to unlock their full potential through that final, perfect follow-through.
You've nailed it. You can't just splash an Aethermane into a deck focused purely on flaming aggression or stoneback defense. It won't work. The Aethermane demands you conduct the whole orchestra, all 4 elements, the night state, the relics, to achieve that synergistic, game-ending harmony.
Okay, if Aethermanes are all about weaving zones together, we absolutely have to talk about the relic zone. You said these are crucial for enabling those complex plays and dealing with hazards.
Relics are the tactical toolkit. They're how the knight directly influences the shot beyond just commanding the dragon. But they come with significant risk, primarily through the shot shape roll.
Right, this isn't the dragon's attack roll, this is something else, tied to the relic itself.
Exactly. When you play most relics, you often have to make a shot shape roll, usually a single 6-sided die. This models the actual flight path of the metaphorical golf shot. Did you hit it pure, or did you hook it into the trees?
And the outcomes range from great to catastrophic. Let's walk through those 6 possibilities again, because this seems vital for understanding relic risk.
It absolutely is. The variance here is huge. Roll a 1, straight, perfect shot. You get the full benefit listed on the relic card, no downsides, no penalties, maximum efficiency.
Nice. Roll a 2.
Roll 2, draw. A controlled curve, usually left for a right-handed golfer. This often gives a small bonus, maybe like plus 20 YDS and plus 5 HD. Controlled power, sometimes a little defensive boost too. 3.
Fade. The opposite controlled curve, usually right. This tends to boost stability, maybe plus 10 DG and plus 10 YDS. Good for positioning and control.
Now the bad ones. Roll 4. Roll 4. Hook. You've overcooked the curve. This is an aggressive mistake. It might actually give a big temporary YDS boost, ironically, like plus 150 YDS, but it comes with a hefty penalty, maybe negative 100 DG, and forces a hazard check, often for the bunker.
Ouch. Roll a 5?
Roll 5. Slice. The other major error, losing control. This typically results in significant stat loss, like negative 100 YDS and negative 100 HD. The shot is short and weak, and you risk landing in the rough, another hazard check.
And the absolute worst, roll 6.
Roll 6. Shank. Total disaster. The ball goes sideways. This means a massive YDS loss, maybe negative 150 YDS, and it forces a mandatory severe hazard check. If that check fails badly, especially during a risky retrieval attempt.
That's how you end up out of bounds.
That's often how it happens, yes. Using a powerful relic, especially for retrieval, and rolling that shank is the highway to OB, losing the dragon permanently. The relic itself creates the risk of catastrophic failure.
So every relic play is a gamble, potentially losing you a keycard for the entire match.
Immense tension. Relics aren't free upgrades. They're calculated risks. You need them for powerful effects and hazard recovery. But you always have that shadow of the shank looming.
Okay, so with that risk understood, let's look at the 5 types of relics. You said they each have a different focus, a different anchor stat, and the Aethermanes need to leverage all of them.
That's right. Understanding the subclasses is key to understanding Aethermane synergy. Let's break them down.
First up, gear relics. Clubs, balls, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Gear relics focus primarily on YDS and HD, raw output, distance and hitting power. They give your dragons an offensive boost or help manipulate range. Importantly, they usually don't affect GPS. Your club doesn't make you feel better, right?
Makes sense. Can they help with hazards?
Yes. Gear relics that retrieve dragons are often framed as precision tools, good for maybe Part 3 or Part 4 recoveries. Clean mechanical solutions for offensive boosts.
Okay, next. Swing relics. About form.
Right. Swing relics anchor on DG Dragon Guard. Defense and stability. They might also touch YDS or maybe GP slightly. Good form means better stamina.
Yeah.
They represent consistent technique, recovering smoothly.
So you use these when you expect to take hits.
Or to stabilize after a big swing, yeah. The retrieval role is often about a smooth chip out, minimizing penalties, focuses on resilience and rhythm.
Then course relics. These affect the environment.
Yeah, think weather, terrain, atmosphere. Their anchor is usually GP game points, because course conditions affect morale, tempo, score. They might restore Knight GP or disrupt the opponent's field, maybe offering some secondary YDS or DG help.
So they're more about the macro game.
Exactly. Managing score, controlling the overall flow. They generally don't provide raw HD boosts because the wind itself doesn't hit harder, you know.
Gotcha. Fourth type, technique relics. Sound intense.
They are. Technique relics are like instant actions focused on HD and YDS, clutch moments, precision strikes. These are your high-risk, high-reward plays.
And for retrieval.
Techniques are often the only relics that let you even attempt to retrieve the biggest dragons, the Par 5s, from severe hazards. But using them carries the absolute highest risk of rolling that shank and ending up out of bounds. Maximum power, maximum danger.
Okay, last one, caddy relics. Support.
Perfect word. Caddy relics anchor on DG and GP. Stability and support. Think of them as variance reduction. They help the knight maintain composure, GP, and bolster the dragon's defense.
GG. Safest retrieval option.
Generally, yes. Caddies provide reliable, if less flashy, hazard recovery, often capped at Par 4 dragons. They're about consistency and protection, not offensive fireworks. Low risk, steady support.
Okay, seeing all five laid out like the gear, offense YDS HD, swing, defense DG, course tempo GP, technique, high risk offense HD YDS, and caddy, support DG GP, it really clicks why Aethermanes need them all.
It has to, right? Their weave mastery demands it. To pull off a complex synchron strike or manipulate a hazard effectively, an Aethermane player needs to know exactly which tool to use when.
You might need gear for the initial damage.
Swing to handle the recoil.
Course to manage the GP impact.
Technique for that one critical risky moment.
And caddy active throughout to smooth up the variance.
Precisely. An Aethermane deck can't just lean on one type of relic. It has to be modular, leveraging the specific strengths of each subclass to enable those big, synergistic weaving plays. It lives up to the legendary status by demanding total mastery of the toolkit. #tag outro.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive really paints a picture of Legion TCG as just incredibly layered. The mechanics, the theme, it all ties together remarkably well.
It's a very tight design.
And the Aethermanes, the Weave Dragons, they sit right at the pinnacle of that design. They aren't just strong cards, they feel like the ultimate expression of the game's core idea, using that follow-through to bring everything together.
The power of the elementals, the knight's own score and composure via GP, the entire relic system. It all converges in them. They are the reward for achieving that perfect harmony the game talks about.
In a game that's fundamentally about the discipline and precision of golf, the Aethermanes represent mastering all of it. Not just hitting hard, but controlling the whole flow.
Exactly. It's the mechanical payoff for total system knowledge.
So what does this all mean then? If these Aethermanes are the ultimate prize, demanding this intricate weaving of different strategies, it kind of puts the focus back on the player, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if commanding an Aethermane successfully requires understanding and integrating the aggression of Flamewings, the defense of Stonebacks, the combos of Stormscales, and the control of Tidewings, plus managing your own GP and the relic risks, it really poses the question. How much does the player need to master themselves, their own strategic discipline, their understanding of all four elements, their nerve under pressure, before they're actually ready to wield that kind of power effectively?
That's a great point. The chase card isn't just something you hope to randomly pull from a pack. It's a challenge. It reflects your own mastery back at you. Can you actually pilot this complex engine? Or will you misuse it and, shank it straight out of bounds?
A fascinating thought to end on. The ultimate card demands the ultimate player skill.
Seems fitting, doesn't it?
It really does. All right, until next time, keep your stance balanced, watch those yardages, and trying to stay out of the hazards.